Hey, hello everybody, I'm Munbalance, and today I'm going to talk about the most overpowered job in Final Fantasy XIV. With such a well-balanced game, you'd be surprised that such a thing exists, but it does. If you need a job that's capable of tanking a whole slew of monsters and then quickly one-shotting the whole group, or maybe you want a class with the largest spammable AoE in the game, or maybe even an AoE that pulls monsters towards you, allowing you to do nonsense like this. Or maybe you're the supportive kind, and you'd like to use a spammable full HP heal with the class too. If that sounds too good to be true, well it is, because we're talking about Blue Mage. Blue Mage is a job that actually has some history in the Final Fantasy franchise, and essentially has always been somewhat related to using skills that are otherwise exclusive to monsters and enemies. And while historically the class has been considered pretty mediocre in other Final Fantasy games, in Final Fantasy XIV, monster skills turned out to be a whole lot stronger and very unique compared to the rest of the cast. As a result, Blue Mage is unlike any other class in the game. No rotations for Blue Mage, and the closest thing you get to a combo is you'll get a status causing spell followed by a spell that takes advantage of said status. A great example of this is the Ram's Voice, which causes a deep freeze in an AoE around the Blue Mage, followed by Ultra Vibration, which instantly kills all monsters nearby that have the deep freeze status. It's shenanigans like this that make the Blue Mage easily the most powerful class in the game, but the fun doesn't stop there. Since Blue Mage can't participate in regular duty finder activities, they need to form their own parties, and they do this with a skill called Ethereal Mimicry, which allows them to copy the properties of one of the three roles present in the game. This means that a Blue Mage can function as a tank, a healer, or a DPS. With this, Blue Mages are capable of making fully functional parties, which are comprised only of Blue Mages. But maybe you don't have friends and want to cheese content anyway. Well, look no further than Basic Instinct, which is a buff the Blue Mage gets specifically for soloing content designed for more than one person. With both a massive buff to their offenses and the freedom to use Mighty Guard without a damage penalty, and you'll have no issue slide casting through dungeons all on your own. That is until something needs to be separated, then you might have to get a second Blue Mage to help you. But to be perfectly honest, one Blue Mage is generally enough to blaze through older content. Content which is often selected as part of a reoccurring event in Final Fantasy XIV called the Moogle Treasure Trove. This rewards a unique tombstone for clearing old content, and it just so happens that a class capable of tanking whole hordes of monsters and then one-shotting them speeds up dungeon runs considerably. Bonus points if the bosses are susceptible to missiles, which is another Blue Mage skill that basically cuts their HP in half, and can be spammed until the boss has a negligible amount of HP left. But maybe you don't want to do old content. What else does Blue Mage have to offer? Well, look no further than the Masked Carnival. This is content designed specifically for Blue Mages, and it'll test your versatility as a class. This may require that you learn and bring certain spells that otherwise wouldn't come naturally, such as monsters weak to certain elements, which isn't present anywhere else in the game. Or maybe they'll just straight up destroy you if you don't bring your spammable, no cooldown, 90% damage reduction skill. But hey, at least if you die, you can just try again. As for learning the spells, it's pretty interesting. Blue Mage gets a spellbook UI, and this is where you collect all of your spells. It's also where you pick up to 24 of them to use. To learn a spell, simply witness a monster using that spell, and then slay that monster. There's a high chance, not 100, that you'll learn the spell and be able to use it yourself. The main challenge in obtaining spells is generally their locations, with some spells being exclusive to the very last boss of a certain dungeon, or in harder content that requires a large group, even with Blue Mage nonsense. Again, this is a class that can't use the duty finder, so you'll need to find parties for that stuff on your own. Scary. But with all of these positives, surely there's a catch, right? Surely they don't just let this class run wild in every pre-made party. Well, here's the big catch. Blue Mage is a limited job. The game is very clear in communicating to you that this is a limited job. It does not get updates with everyone else, generally lags behind the rest of the cast in level cap. Additionally, there's certain content that Blue Mage just isn't allowed to go into at all. As of the time of this recording, Blue Mage caps out at level 70, 20 levels below our current content, which is 90. That means that anything from Shadowbringers or Endwalker expansions can't be Blue Maged. But I think you'd have a lot of fun with it regardless, and there's plenty of content just waiting to be explored if you gave Blue Mage a chance. Oh, did I mention the swagger? The sheer aura this class puts out is second to none, especially with their battle and victory stances. It should be illegal, but it's totally allowed. Now, in order to showcase what the Blue Mage is capable of, I decided to do a synced run of Aurum Vale. This means that my level is going to be the exact same as what the dungeon would expect, but I'm going to be running this dungeon on my own. And follow me along and you'll see what exactly I use and what scenarios, keeping in mind that I am missing quite a few Blue Mage skills, so there's definitely a better way to do this and probably faster too. But I just wanted to show you that this class is a lot more than meets the eye, and this is a great showcase of how Blue Mage compares to content of its own level. Alright, now let's get to it. Obviously, we're going to start off by using Basic Instinct, which is going to give us a boost to our run speed, as well as our offenses, and allow us to use Mighty Guard unabated. We're going to start out with a Gobskin, which is going to shield us from these upcoming attacks. And we're basically just going to kite to around this corner. We're going to cast another Gobskin to keep us alive, and then we're going to immediately use the Ram's Voice. This is going to freeze the monsters that come our way, and we're going to use another one to get the frog. Ultra Vibration will take out all of those monsters, and then we can heal ourselves up with a Mog Cure. The first boss here is susceptible to missiles, so we're going to go ahead and start out by shooting him with missiles. That's going to miss the first one, but the second one connects and is going to do 50% of his HP. Next, we just missile him down until he's at a negligible amount of health, and then we can finish off the rest with our powerful Blue Mage abilities. And because of Mighty Guard, we have no issue tanking this boss while he's just slowly dying to the damage over time effects. Next, to make sure that the Morbles are all around us, we'll go ahead and use Hydro Pull, which will pull them towards us. Next, we have another boss here with the Gold Vine, and as you might have guessed, it is also susceptible to missiles. So that's exactly what we're going to be doing. Next, we have another group of monsters before our next boss, but our Ultra Vibration is off of cooldown now, so I'm going to go ahead and gather them all up. And we're going to safely dispose of them by freezing them and then hitting them with the Ultra Vibration. Now, one of them managed to avoid the freeze and thus didn't get insta-killed, but we could just go ahead and take him out with some damage over time and a tail screw, which will take his HP down to a single digit, and then the damage over time will just instantly kill him. Next, we have the coin counter, which, as you might have guessed, is another boss that is susceptible to missiles. I'm gonna go ahead and try this tail screw here, but it's not gonna work, so eventually we'll just switch over to missile and that will do the job for us. We have a debuff here. We can go ahead and cure that with Exuviation and continue to missile him down. I'm gonna go ahead and throw some dots on him before going ahead and hitting him with more missiles. And you can see that with the missiles, he's now at pretty much a negligible amount of health. We could just go ahead and finish him off with some regular magic attacks. And we got another group to freeze here, and Ultra Vibration before heading into the Morble area. Now, as we're heading into the Morble area, obviously we've spent our Ultra Vibration, but the Morble seedings are actually quite easy to kill, and we're going to go ahead and take them out with our Superanka's Fury, as well as just a few Hydro Pulse. And after that, we can just go ahead and focus on the gold vines and avoid activating any more Morble fruit. And we're going to go ahead and take care of these the same way we did with the other ones. Get them with a nice damage over time effect, and then go ahead and lower their health to negligible amount using missiles. And we have one more group of monsters before we get to the boss, and it looks like our Ultra Vibration has just come off of cooldown, so that's really good for us, and we can go ahead and pull them in with Hydro Pull, or we'll just position ourselves correctly to freeze them all and then get them all down with an Ultra Vibration, healing ourselves up for the final boss. Now, the final boss of Armvale is not going to be susceptible to missiles, so we're going to have to actually use some of our stronger abilities, such as a Tingle into a Whistle into a Triple Trident is going to do very easily like 5% of his HP. We're then going to go into a Superanka's Fury, which is going to be quite a bit more damage, and also we're going to go ahead and use any primal abilities that we have. We actually only brought Garuda today, so we only have Garuda, which is going to basically apply another damage over time that's off of the GCD. So that allows us to, when we apply our GCD, it actually has the same cooldown that we'll just go ahead and throw on Garuda as well. And we'll want to make sure that we Bristol those and boost the damage of our damage over time, because damage over times are technically your strongest ability. They just take a little bit longer to get the damage across. And otherwise, it's not really a good idea to be spamming Bristol for every attack, because it's only a 50% damage bonus. And with that GCD, you could just use another skill, and that's 100% damage bonus, isn't it? You have some Morble fruit to take out here, but luckily we have plenty of AoE options on the blue mage, and taking out these seeds is not going to be too big of a deal. And as you can see, it's totally possible for a blue mage to go through Armvale, and it only took us about 12 minutes. And honestly, that's pretty much faster than you'd have with a regular 4-man party. If you really wanted to optimize this, you could recruit other people, and honestly having like 1 or 2 blue mages would be optimal, because more missiles means more chances to insta-kill a boss. And actually, if both blue mages do a missile at the same time, they'll both do 50% and thus kill the boss instantly. But anyway, that's all I got to say on the blue mage. I hope this video inspires you to try the class out yourself, or at very least it was an entertaining distraction from the scary world around us. Thanks to my Patreons for supporting the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video.